Chapter 411. When xuanhuan saw her reaction, he already had an answer in his heart. He bent his finger and gently knocked her head. He really didn't know whether to be angry or laugh. What are you thinking about in that head of yours? Su Yiyin knew that she was in the wrong. She blushed slightly and didn't defend herself. Her eyes unconsciously drifted to the several rehabilitation facilities in the room. Since you're already here, do you want to try it? I think the things that Uncle Zhang found are pretty good. Practicing more should be good for your recovery. The expression on xuanhuan's face was slightly stiff. He didn't speak for a long time. Su Yiyin stood in front of him. Her hand was raised in the air, but it wasn't held for a long time. This result surprised and worried Su Yiyin. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well, or are you not ready? As soon as she finished speaking, her hand was held and she was pulled over. Su Yiyin wasn't prepared. She was pulled over in an instant and sat on xuanhuan's lap. She was facing him, and it looked like he was holding her in his arms. "Xuanhuan? Give me a little more time." His deep voice sounded beside her ear, and his breath also pounced on her ear, tickling her and bringing with it some heat. Su Yiyin's small face was slightly red. She said somewhat apologetically, "It's okay. I was too anxious. You can take your time." When xuanhuan heard her say this, he pursed his lips. After a while he said, "I will cooperate, but I don't want to do it in front of you." Su Yiyin was stunned for a few seconds before she understood the meaning of xuanhuan's words. Xuanhuan's leg had been injured for a few years. If he wanted to walk like a normal person, he would have to suffer some pain. Su Yiyin wanted to spend this time with him, but xuanhuan had his own considerations. As a man, he hoped that his image in Su Yiyin's heart would always be lofty, calm, and omnipotent, and not a pitiful person who would become embarrassed and miserable because of pain and discomfort. Su Yiyin was silent for a long time. In the end, he chose to respect his decision and whispered, "Okay, I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you to stand up and walk in front of me." 2 days later, Yu Zian, Gu Xiaoyang, and their employees finally got to eat the boss's wife's medicinal cuisine that they had been longing for. Needless to say, after eating this medicinal diet for a period of time, the complexions of the employees of these companies were ruddy, and their entire appearance had undergone a huge change. This was especially true for the programmers in the technical department. After the balding situation had significantly improved, it was as if they had ushered in a second spring in their lives. Just as everyone was marveling at the miraculous medicinal cuisine and secretly thinking about when they could ask their boss's wife to give them special treatment again, Yu Zian and the others accurately conveyed the reward rules that xuanhuan had personally set to every employee. All of a sudden, the employees of these companies were in an uproar. They looked at their colleagues with burning eyes. The employees with the best performance would be able to eat the medicinal cuisine personally made by Mrs. Huo once a week. Boys and girls of the society would never admit defeat. For this reason, the work efficiency of the employees of these companies rose sharply that month, which led to the real-time income of the companies to double. When Su Yiyin received the notice of a huge sum of money again, she saw that there was an extra zero at the end of the number compared to the previous month. She couldn't help but curse again. Profiteer. After cursing, she glanced at the string of attractive numbers and thought happily, "Profiteer is good, profiteer is wonderful. I love profiteers the most." Chapter 412. Shortly after the malicious business competition incident, the carnival opened again, which was unprecedented. Some of the patient's family members even went to the store in person, trying to find out who the mysterious store manager was by indirectly asking the staff for information. The things in the store were solved, but there were still many things waiting for Su Yiyin to deal with in Dongqing City. Luo Weibing persisted to the last day of the contract period in the original agency. Under the dissatisfied and angry eyes of his agent, he completely terminated the contract with the original agency. When I left, Chang Pu's face was very ugly, as if he was going to eat me alive. I'm worried that he will make trouble in the next few days. Luo Weibing's mood was complicated for his agent. When he was in the most difficult time, it was this man who found him, brought him into this strange circle and gave him a meal. But it was also this man who almost pushed him to the point of no return. He owed him a favor, but he had been working for him all these years, and the benefits he brought to him were enough to repay the original kindness. It doesn't matter. It's okay for you to part on good terms. If he dares to hurt you, our Dongqing City is not easy to mess with. Su Yiyin didn't have a good impression of Luo Weibing's former agency, especially his former agent. If they really dared to mess with the people of Dongqing City, she would not be surnamed Su if she didn't bite off a piece of meat. How is Chi-Chi these days? Luo Weibing's sister's full name was Xue Siki. Su Yiyin began to treat her a week ago. Because her situation was a bit serious, it was an emergency. She needed to take some medicine for a while, and then eat a medicated diet to recuperate. Simple Chinese medicine was not the same as medicated diet. It was bitter and fishy. Adults might not be willing to drink it, let alone children. But the little girl was unexpectedly well behaved. Whether she was pricked or drank the medicine, she didn't cry once and even comforted her brother. She was also very kind to the little sister who pricked her and made her drink the bitter medicine. She would softly call her sister Su Yiyan and say thank you to her. She was so sensible that it made people's heart ache. Who didn't like a lovely baby? Su Yiyan was no exception. They had only met a few times, but she had already fallen in love with this little sister. At the mention of his sister, Luo Weibing's face softened a lot. He smiled and said, "She's much better now. She's much more energetic these days. I don't know if she's short of breath or short of breath. When I went to see her yesterday, she looked much better and could eat by herself." That's good. However, he still has to continue taking the medicine for a while. Children are weak and need more nourishment. Luo Weibing hurriedly nodded, "I will keep an eye on her." Su Yiyan knew that Luo Weibing cared about his sister more than anyone else, so he didn't say anything more and pushed a document in front of him. The company accepted a new advertisement for you. Game? Luo Weibing glanced at the first party and was surprised. Although there was no lack of artists in the industry who endorsed games, compared to this, most artists obviously preferred to endorse electronic products or luxury products like jewelry. Luo Weibing's first reaction when he saw this endorsement contract was that the big boss signed him into the company and started to do it? But the next second, Su Yiyan's words completely put his guess out of the window. Yes, game endorsement, the first spokesperson of holographic games since ancient times. It should be worthy of your current position, right? Chapter 413. Holographic game? Luo Weibing's eyes shrank slightly. He was a little confused by this news. Su Yiyan saw his reaction and thought that he did not play games and did not know much about these things. She explained, "To put it simply, you only need a gaming capsule or even a gaming helmet to put you in the game scene as if you have really become a game character. In addition to not getting hurt or dying, it's like trying a second life that is completely different from reality." Luo Weibing was stunned and hurriedly said, "I know what a holographic game is, I just surprised that this kind of thing that only existed in people's imagination before can become a reality?" "A little bit. Then this advertisement? I'm willing to take it." Su Yiyan was not surprised by this answer. "That's good. By the way, you have a partner in this advertisement." "Partner? Oh, Xue Kaiwei." Luo Weibing was stunned and felt a little guilty after he reacted. A few minutes ago, he suspected that Xue Kaiwei signed him into the company and revealed the face of a capitalist. She would start to harm him for money. As a result, not only did Xue Kaiwei not do this, but she also gave him a good resource. She even lent her own movie queen to help him fight the first battle after transferring to the company. In the final analysis, he gauged Xue Kaiwei's heart with his own mean measure. "Xue Kaiwei has been accepted. Considering that I'm not sure if you two have any unpleasant history before, I came to confirm it with you first. Can you accept to take this advertisement and partner with her?" Su Yiyan didn't have the habit of forcing others. Such a good resource was given to anyone. If the two couldn't get along with each other and made a lot of things during the shooting and even after, wouldn't she, as the boss, have a hard time? Yes. With such a considerate boss, Luo Weibing finally settled down and nodded. "I cooperated with her once before, but I didn't have much contact with her and we didn't have any conflicts." "Then it's settled," Su Yiyan said and seemed to think of something. "In addition, the company is going to invest in a xianxia movie based on the background story of this holographic game. When I think about it, I'll just let you two play it. Do you have any intention?" It had only been an advertisement and the movie had already been scheduled. His new boss was really swift and decisive. If it were an ordinary person who had just changed companies, it would be the time to express their loyalty to their boss. If they were given resources right away, they would definitely be grateful, not to mention rejecting them. But Luo Weibing wasn't sure what kind of movie it was and whether the script was good or not. He didn't dare to promise casually. Secondly, he was still worried about his sister. Su Yiyan saw his hesitation and comforted him. "It's okay. This is just a proposal. The specific script still needs to be perfected. It won't be too late for you to decide after you read the script." Dongqing City had several IP plans recently, and this holographic game background adaptation was just one of them. If Luo Weibing is really unwilling to take this script, it will be the same to change something else. She is a wise and democratic boss. Previously, when the medicinal cuisine house was slandered by the internet water army, apart from xuanhuan and a few other companies' technical staff, a large portion of the audience in her live streaming room was also contributed the most. Most of them were girls. For this reason, Su Yiyan decided to do a special live broadcast to thank the audience for their enthusiastic protection. Chapter 4:14. The female viewers in Su Yiyan's live stream went crazy with joy. Am I hallucinating because I'm too tired these days? The streamer is actually going to make a special medicinal cuisine for our female compatriots. Sob, I've been waiting for this day for so long. After the bald man's party, my aunt's party will finally see the light of day again? I'm so moved that I'm crying. The girls excitedly ran around to spread the news, but the male viewers were full of resentment. Don't be so sexist. This time the streamer's shop was scolded, and we also helped the streamer fight against those trash water army. You can't ignore us just because we're few in number. That's right, the streamer shouldn't only look at those delicate girls. The toe-picking hunks also need to be pampered. I feel the malice the streamer has towards the male viewers. I beg the streamer to love our male compatriots again. Before Su Yiyan started the live stream, she knew that some people might be dissatisfied after the content was released, so she didn't panic. Of course, I'm not ignoring you guys. It's just that there are more female compatriots, so I'll take care of them first. When there's a chance next time, I'll make another batch of medicinal cuisine related to male compatriots. After Su Yiyan said that, the male viewers who were screaming miserably on the screen finally quieted down and focused on watching the live stream. The female viewers were more concerned about whether Su Yiyan's live stream today would involve menstrual pain. After all, many of the female viewers in Su Yiyan's live stream were attracted by the two female bloggers in the first place. There are actually many reasons for menstrual pain. I've already made a few medicinal cuisines that have a certain effect on menstrual pain. These medicinal cuisines are sold in physical stores now. Today I'll make a few different ones. In addition, I'll make a few medicinal cuisines that nourish blood and nourish skin, help with weight loss and sleep, slimming face and removing acne, and, breast enlargement and so on. Su Yiyan's face was slightly red and she paused before continuing. Friends who are interested can take a look. After a while, I'll draw a prize according to the old rules. Those who don't draw a prize can also go to the physical store to eat. As soon as Su Yiyan said that, the comments in the live stream suddenly went blank for a few seconds, and then a blowout of comments erupted. F***ck, the host's medicinal cuisine can not only cure menstrual cramps but also help with weight loss? This is too exaggerated. Oh my god, is there finally hope for a fatty like me who can become as fat as a balloon just by drinking water and nutrient solutions? I suspect that the host is revealing my private life. The secret of my airport can't be hidden anymore? There's actually a medicinal cuisine that can slimmer one's face. Pancake Face really can't afford to be hurt. He's not fat anywhere else, but when the weather turns cold, he'll have a fat face if he drinks more nutrient fluids. As a pimple sufferer who gets pimple whenever the weather is dry or if he stays up late, he really needs this. The suffering insomnia party is asking for help. Every night, they would be especially energetic and would be forced to stay up until the latter half of the night. Their dark circles and eye bags would almost reach their chins, and their skin would become yellow and rough. If this goes on, I feel like I might die at any time. What Su Yiyan had just said was extremely accurate, and it poked at the endless troubles of these young people. Seeing so many comments, Su Yiyan knew that she had chosen the right thing to do today. She took a deep breath and smiled faintly. Whether it's really effective or not, you'll only know after you try it. Alright, let's not talk nonsense. Let's start today's live stream. Sure enough, now that he had a little fairy, he didn't want this big treasure anymore. Even his rations had to be deducted. It was really too difficult for him. The soup is ready. Since everyone is curious about the diet, let's make a few diet dishes. The first one was black rice, red bean and coconut porridge. Red beans had the effect of slimming. Eating red beans could not only replenish blood, but also slimmer face and slimmer legs. Moreover, red bean porridge can be eaten as a staple food. It's easy to fill your stomach, and under the premise of slimming down, you won't go hungry. To lose weight, one did not have to diet like those celebrities who needed to lose weight in a short period of time. Eating some food that could fill one's stomach but was not high in calories could also play a certain role. However, the effect was often not immediate and needed to be sustained for a period of time. This meant that the person needed a certain amount of endurance and self-control to not eat anything else while eating these foods. Chapter 4:16. Black rice has the effect of hair growth and is also one of the miscellaneous grains. It is not easy to get fat after eating it. It can also treat hair problems while losing weight. It's killing two birds with one stone. After cooking the two together, some coconut juice and shredded orange peel were added. The porridge's fragrance instantly became rich. The second diet meal was fresh bamboo shoots and konjac noodles. Konjac had a very significant filling effect like miscellaneous grains. Corn bamboo shoots and water bamboo shoots were relatively low in calories. Together with the medicinal juice made from rhubarb and licorice, it could not only reduce weight but also improve immunity. Finally, there was a celery vegetable juice. It was juice made from celery, tomatoes, and grapefruit, with some fructose or honey added. When this vegetable juice was released, there were different voices. People who liked it very much, but there were also many people who did not like it. This vegetable juice is a bit unpalatable. It tastes a bit like nutrient solution. It's not the flavor I like. I think it's not bad. It's refreshing. If it was chilled in summer, I feel like I can drink a big cup in one go. Su Yiyin did not care too much about this. There were some differences in taste, especially when celery was added to the juice. Some people did not like this taste very much. After making some soup and porridge, Su Yiyin began to heat up the wok to cook. The first dish was braised pork trotters. Pork trotters were rich in collagen. Eating more of it could make the skin smooth and white. It could also help to remove the acne marks left behind by acne. Before this, Su Yiyin had simply processed the pork trotters. He blanched them once and marinated them with soy sauce and cooking wine for half an hour. It was just ready to be put into the wok. The previous few soups and porridge were slow stews. They had to be simmered slowly to bring out the fragrance of the food. This dish was different. As soon as it was put into the wok, a fragrant smell floated out. After seasonings such as star anise and cinnamon were added, it was as fragrant as the previous braising ingredients. It caused a heated discussion as soon as it was taken out of the wok. I have seen pork trotters in high-class restaurants before. They are usually used to stew soup. My mother ordered it once. I took a bite out of curiosity and felt that the taste was a bit strong. I always felt that it was not clean and did not particularly like it. But the host's pork trotters are really amazing. The unpleasant smell is not mentioned. It's especially chewy and flavorful. I feel like I can eat a lot of white rice with this. This pork trotters taste a bit similar to the braised food the host made before, but it's especially chewy. Especially the juice in it. It's mixed with noodles and rice. A. Steaming. D. When Su Yiyin made the pumpkin cup, he did not peel off the outer skin. Instead, he engraved a slightly complicated and beautiful pattern. It made the originally ordinary pumpkin cup inexplicably eye-catching. The steamed pumpkin was soft and tender. Paired with the refreshing lily, it was really good-looking and delicious. It captured the hearts of many girls in an instant. Chapter 4:17. Compared to the steamed pumpkin lily, the papaya with rock sugar attracted less attention. Su Yiyin smiled and touched her nose. She was a little embarrassed as she said, "Papaya has the effect of moisturizing the lungs, relieving coughing and digestion. It can also enrich the breast. Girls who have problems in this area can try to make some at home. As you just saw, it's not difficult to make." As soon as Su Yiyin said this, the messages on the screen suddenly went blank for a few seconds. Then a few sparse messages flashed past. From the words, one could feel their cautiousness. "I feel like I shouldn't talk at this time. If I do, I'll be exposed. Even if you don't say it, you're still a good friend. I'm not talking anymore. I'm going to look for papaya and rock sugar. Although I don't like papaya very much, but..." Everyone had a tacit understanding of what was omitted after the ellipsis. No one pointed it out. Su Yiyin coughed softly and drew everyone's attention back to her. "Okay, let's do the lucky draw next. We'll draw one lucky audience member for each item." The lucky draw in the live broadcast room had always been very fast. In less than 5 minutes, the winners jumped out one by one. Su Yiyin glanced at it and suddenly realized that something was wrong. Ever since the last lucky draw, she accidentally discovered that some male audience members deliberately registered female accounts to compete for the lucky draw slots. After taking advantage of this loophole, xuanhuan asked Yuzian to make some small changes to the user accounts. Now, whether the audience members in the live broadcast room left a message or were selected from the lucky draw, there would be a small sign in front of the name that indicated the user's gender. At a glance, people could tell whether the user was male or female. Moreover, the gender on the website account had to be the same as the gender on the registration certificate. Otherwise it wouldn't be approved. At this time, Su Yiyin saw an account with a male name in the group of female accounts. She blinked in surprise. What's going on? Ming Ming Ruin? This audience member with the ID Ming Ming Ruin, did you click on it by mistake? If it were other medicinal cuisines for sleeping, weight loss and black hair it would be fine. However, this audience member just happened to get rock sugar papaya. Could it be that he also needed? Su Yiyin had a flash of inspiration in his mind. He suddenly grasped a corner of the truth. He had to have a big chest. The other spectators also noticed this and began to manually at this male compatriot who had mistakenly entered the country of women to quickly hand over the medicinal cuisine. Hey, there's a man here. Sisters, quickly catch him and make him hand over the food. Ming Ming Ruin? Brother, did you accidentally click on the wrong button? Didn't the streamer say she was going to cook for her female compatriots? Ming Ming Ruin, taking a closer look, this person seems to have drawn. Cough cough, you really don't need this. Would be a waste to take it. Hurry up and hand it over. Can I buy it with 5,000 coins? Ming Ming Ruin, 5,500, come over here and take a look at me. Ming Ming Ruin, 6,000 no more. Ming Ming Ruin, 6,600. That's an auspicious number. 7,000? A good condemnation suddenly turned into a live auction. At first, this person pretended to be dead and didn't want to respond. Later, perhaps because too many people at him, he finally popped up. Ming Ming Ruin, not selling. We don't lack money at home. Thank you. The food is for my wife. I didn't order it by mistake. The audience. The single dog felt a critical hit from the couple. Su Yiyin. Okay. Chapter 418. While Su Yiyin was busy giving gifts to the lucky viewers, xuanhuan was also busy questioning Yuzian. Why did Yan Yan get a male account in the lucky draw in her live stream? Yuzian looked confused and said carefully, Young master, you forgot. After you and young madam got married, you removed the restriction of only drawing male accounts in young madam's live broadcast room. Xuanhuan. You really forgot. After the two of them got married, Su Yiyin did not know if it was intentional or not, but there was one time when she suddenly mentioned during dinner that the audience in her livestream lucky draw seemed to be mostly women, and there were not many men. There were a few episodes where she talked about baldness and certain men's hidden ailments. Looking at the comments, those male viewers seemed to be in urgent need of it, but it seemed like all the female accounts were drawn. It was also possible that some men had strong self-esteem and were too embarrassed to fight for their ailments. But those people who were begging on the screen didn't even participate in the lucky draw. Something was really wrong. When xuanhuan heard Su Yiyin's words, his heart suddenly skipped a beat and he felt inexplicably guilty. In order to protect his little secret, xuanhuan generously removed the unspoken rule of only drawing female accounts in the live broadcast room. Since they were married, he could eat 3 meals cooked by his wife every day, so he wouldn't lower himself to the level of those lucky viewers who fought for it. Now that he saw Su Yiyin's live broadcast room draw a male account again, xuanhuan realized that he wasn't as generous as he thought. If it was only the ones in the shop that Su Yiyin instructed and made by someone else, it would be fine. But she made it herself, and he was already a little unhappy that she gave it to the female viewers, let alone these stinky men who didn't know the details. Change it back. What? Change the previous setting back. Yu Xian's expression stiffened and he probed, You mean change the setting of only drawing male accounts in young madam's live broadcast room? You have a problem with that? No. This was a familiar question, a familiar atmosphere. How could he dare to say no? After getting a satisfactory answer, xuanhuan hung up the phone directly. As Yu Xian listened to the busy tone on the other end of the line, he really couldn't understand why his young master had suddenly made such a fuss. He could only sigh silently in his heart. Married men were really fickle. Su Yiyin made so many nourishing dishes at once. She definitely couldn't finish them all by herself. She packed a portion for Qing Xiuqin and gave the rest to the maids in the house who needed it. She only kept a few dishes that suited her taste. When xuanhuan came down, she immediately saw the braised pork trotters, black rice, red bean and coconut congee, and papaya with rock sugar. As soon as Su Yiyin looked up, she saw xuanhuan staring at her with a slightly indescribable and curious gaze. She couldn't help but have a few question marks in her mind. Then she saw xuanhuan's gaze move down stiffly, drifting to her. A deathly silence and awkwardness spread between the two of them. In the end, the first to admit defeat was actually xuanhuan. He quickly averted his gaze, picked up the bowl, and looked at the dishes on the table as if nothing had happened. However, his burning ears betrayed his true thoughts at that moment. Su Yiyan? What was going on? Shouldn't she be the one being shy at a time like this? Why are you being shy? Chapter 419. Su Yiyan's eyes turned slightly. She held her chin and said with a faint smile, I just saw a post on the internet. It's quite interesting. Xuanhuan's hand suddenly paused. What post? A discussion post about whether boys like girls with big breasts or girls with small breasts. Xuanhuan's spoon hit the bowl with a clang. The bright red that stopped at the tip of her ears suddenly spread to her cheeks and neck. Don't look at these useless posts. Su Yiyan suppressed her laughter and said smoothly, It's indeed useless, but I'm very curious. What? Do you like girls with big breasts or girls with small breasts? Xuanhuan's mind went blank. When she looked up, she met Su Yiyan's teasing gaze. She knew that someone was deliberately teasing her. While it was funny, she also felt a little embarrassed. You're very good like this. Su Yiyan was slightly stunned. Then her eyes curved slightly. She dragged her voice and said, Oh, I understand. Xuanhuan? Understood? Understood what? Just by listening to her tone, Xuanhuan was sure that what she said was definitely not what he thought. However, no matter how curious she was, Xuanhuan did not dare to ask in detail. She was afraid that Su Yiyan would say something shocking again and she would not be able to handle it. Uncle Zhang, who was standing not far away, listened to the young couple's conversation and could not help but smile kindly. Young couples should often tease each other. Only by bickering could their relationship warm up and not separate. As an old man, he found it interesting to see such a young couple. The two of them had dinner peacefully. Xuanhuan suddenly asked, Do you have anything to do tomorrow night? Nothing. Su Yiyan basically went home after work. What's wrong? Then accompany me out tomorrow night. Out? To do what? Su Yiyan was a little surprised. Xuanhuan actually took the initiative to say that she wanted to go out. Could it be that she wanted to go on a date with her? To attend a birthday banquet. Su Yiyan was stunned. Birthday banquet? Whose birthday banquet? It's the birthday banquet of the old master of the Lan family. Xuanhuan was afraid that Su Yiyan did not understand, and then explained, Mr. Lan and my father have been friends for many years. When Uncle Zhang heard this, he also chimed in, Master and the Lan family's master were high school friends. When Master and Madam were alive, the relationship between the two families was very good. After the two of them passed away, only the Lan family took good care of the young master. Tomorrow is old Master Lan's 70th birthday. It's reasonable for young master and young madam to congratulate him. When he said that, Su Yiyan understood. Xuanhuan's parents had handed over the Hua Corporation to Wuxihan before they died. Xuanhuan's legs were like that, so she had obviously been abandoned. Businessmen valued profits. Some of the so-called partners who had gathered because of profits naturally knew who to please and who to belittle at this time. Who didn't know how to add flowers to a brocade? People's hearts could only be seen when charcoal was in snowy weather. This Lan family was indeed very righteous to help Xuanhuan under such circumstances and take care of this orphan of an old friend. No wonder Xuanhuan, who didn't like to go out, wanted to attend this old man's birthday banquet in person. Su Yiyan understood and felt a little distressed at the same time. Every time she thought about how Xuanhuan had endured in the past few years, she couldn't help but feel sad and regretful that she hadn't met him earlier. Chapter 420. If that's the case, then we should go over to celebrate his birthday. Su Yiyan seemed to have thought of something and said anxiously, Then the gift? Uncle Zhang smiled and said, Young madam, you don't have to worry about that. Young master has already prepared the gift. That's good. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. Then I'll come back early tomorrow and accompany you to celebrate Master Lan's birthday. Xuanhuan looked at the two of them holding hands and smiled slightly. She replied in a low voice, Okay. The next afternoon, Su Yiyan got off work an hour early and went home to accompany Xuanhuan to pick out clothes for the evening. In the end, she chose a sapphire blue suit for him and a dress of the same color for herself. They looked like a couple's outfits. Uncle Zhang couldn't help nodding when he saw what Xuanhuan was wearing. His young master was only 26 years old this year and was still young. Wearing bright colors would make him look more energetic. Wearing those dark formal suits all day long made him look like an old man. It was a waste of his young master's face, which had once attracted countless girls. The young couple wore the couple's outfits and happily went to the Lan family's small villa in the suburbs. When they arrived, there were already many people inside. As soon as Su Yiyan pushed xuanhuan through the door, many people stopped talking and turned to look at them. Su Yiyan frowned slightly. He was worried that xuanhuan wouldn't be used to these people's explicit stares. Then he heard xuanhuan say gently, "Uncle Lan and Auntie are over there. Let's go over and say hello to them first." Su Yiyan saw that he didn't show any discomfort with the stares and was slightly relieved. He pushed him in the direction he pointed. Master Lan was 70 years old this year. Although his hair was a little white, he was still in good spirits and his body was quite strong. When he saw xuanhuan coming over, his eyes lit up and he said with a smile, "Young Master Hua is here." Master Lan was from the same generation as xuanhuan's father, so it was reasonable for him to call him young master. However, it was obvious that he was close and fond of xuanhuan. What was more, xuanhuan was also willing to respond to him. "Uncle Lan's birthday today. As a junior, it would be rude if I didn't come to say some auspicious words to you." The blue old man smiled, but there seemed to be tears in his eyes. "If I had known that I would be able to call you out on my birthday, I would have done it a few years earlier." Everyone present understood that he was just teasing. If it had been xuanhuan from a few years ago, even if it was his birthday, xuanhuan might not have come in person even though he would have sent gifts. The real reason he changed. Madame Lan patted her husband's hand and looked at Su Yiyan. She said with a smile, "Is this Miss Su?" Su Yiyan was suddenly called. He hurried to xuanhuan's side and politely said, "Hello, madam. My husband and Xuanhuan's father were good friends. If you don't mind, you can call me Auntie like Xuanhuan." Xuanhuan was his father's son when he was old. He was basically a generation older than his peers. If Su Yiyan called her Auntie like other people, he would be a generation younger. Following her advice, he called out, "Auntie." Old Madame Lan happily agreed. "When you two got married, us two old fellows couldn't personally go to see you. It's a pity. However, we both believe in Xuanhuan's judgment. We know you must be a good child." Chapter 421. Su Yiyan and xuanhuan's wedding was held on a private island. The two elders were too old to take a boat, so they only asked their son and daughter-in-law to go. When they came back, they only said that xuanhuan was very happy. The way he looked at the bride was very gentle. He was like a beast that had lost control and put away his claws and fangs. He became harmless and gentle. When the two elders first heard the rumors outside, they were a little worried about the marriage between the two of them. But when they heard their son and daughter-in-law say so, they were relieved. Although xuanhuan was not their child, they had watched him grow up after all. If he didn't really like Miss Su, even if they were forced to be together, he would not be kind to her. Su Yiyan heard her implicit praise and blushed. She was a little embarrassed. Xuanhuan took the initiative to hold her hand. His eyes were full of smiles. Obviously, he agreed with old Madame Lan's words. Old Master Lan saw their small movements and nodded with a smile. "I'm relieved to see you like this. Old Hua and sister-in-law will definitely be happy for you when they see you like this." As soon as old Master Lan said this, the atmosphere between them suddenly became cold. Old Madame Lan was the first to react. She raised her hand and hit him on the back of his head. "Why are you talking about this, Su Yiyan? Did they start to hit him because of a disagreement?" Xuanhuan and the younger generation of the Lan family beside the two elders seemed to be used to this. They looked as if they were saying, "Oh, Grandpa Dad has been hit again." Old Master Lan touched the back of his head and said timidly, "Save me some face in front of the child." Old Madame Lan snorted. "Is face for others to save for you? You are so disrespectful in front of the child. You deserve to lose face," she said and pulled old Master Lan's ear. Old Master Lan was scared and hid. Several of the younger generation of the Lan family saw that their grandfather was in trouble and hurried to persuade him. Su Yiyan and xuanhuan were squeezed out. "This." Su Yiyan blinked her eyes in confusion. Xuanhuan couldn't help but laugh. Uncle Lan was famous for being a henpecked husband when he was young. No matter if it was at home or outside, he was always obedient to Auntie. But no matter how noisy they are truly in love with each other. It has been like a day for decades. After the initial surprise, Su Yiyan also saw something from the old man's quarrel. Generally speaking, it was impossible for a man to lose to a woman. Old Madame Lan doesn't look like a particularly good person, but old Master Lan can do it without fighting back, scolding without talking back. In the end it's because of love. Moreover, if you look carefully you will find that old Madame Lan hit him, but she never hit him too hard. Although old Master Lan wailed, there was no dissatisfaction or anger in his eyes. There was only a smile and indulgence. Jealous? Su Yiyin was shocked and turned to look at Xuanhuan by reflex. As soon as the servant met his smiling eyes, she snorted and threatened, "If you make me angry in the future, I will hit you like she did." "Okay, I promise I won't fight back." Su Yiyin frowned and said with dissatisfaction, "Shouldn't you say you won't make me angry at this time?" Xuanhuan. What a mistake. "Yes, I promise I won't make you angry in the future." That's more like it. Several of the younger generation of the Lan family who wanted to step forward to stop the fight but happened to hear the conversation between the two. "This is too much. We just ate the old man's dog food and now we have to eat yours. Do single dogs have no human rights?" Chapter 422. After the commotion caused by old Madame Lan, the atmosphere between them returned to its original harmony. When the people on the other side saw this scene, they were not in a good mood like Su Yiyin and the others. "What's wrong with old Master Lan? We came to celebrate his birthday out of kindness but he's so nice. He ignores us, but he's very enthusiastic about Xuanhuan and that little b***ts. Huaqihan listened to his wife's complaints, and his face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Xuanhuan is a family Hua after all. Father was so close to old Master Lan when he was alive, and Xuanhuan is like that now. It's inevitable that he'll care more about him. Why are you shouting so loudly? If others hear you they'll think that we can't tolerate him." Mrs. Hua choked, but she still felt a little uncomfortable. "He's a family Hua, but aren't you? Touch your conscience and tell me, was their attitude towards us the same as their attitude towards those two people?" Huaqihan's face became uglier after being choked by his wife. Mrs. Hua was not in the mood to care about his feelings. When they came to the Lan family before, they had never met Xuanhuan. Naturally, they didn't know that the Lan family's attitude toward them was so different from when they faced Xuanhuan. Now that they knew, they definitely felt uncomfortable. In addition, too many things had happened at home in the past month or two. Their moods were at a critical point and they could explode completely. Mrs. Hua looked at the various people coming and going at the banquet and felt that everyone was looking at them strangely. She tugged at Huaqihan's sleeve and said suspiciously, "Do you think they already know that Xiaofeng has been kicked out of the Hua family so they're hitting us when we're down and deliberately ignoring us? Have these guys forgotten how they licked their faces and begged you to cooperate with them?" Enough. Huaqihan finally couldn't help but shout. During this time he was most annoyed that Hua Xiaofeng had been kicked out of his company. He was the person in charge and the decision-maker of the company, but his only son was targeted by the board of directors and directly kicked out of his own company. This was a great humiliation to him. Now, who didn't say that he didn't teach his son well? It was fine that his son's private life was messy, but he didn't have any ability. He had been in the company for less than half a year and was dissuaded by his own board of directors. What a joke. When Huaqihan now thought about it, he wished that he didn't have such a son, and he was also dissatisfied with his wife. If she hadn't spoiled him since he was a child, would his son? Will you become mute if you don't speak? Huaqihan's SSSS, Huaqihan's SSS. Huaqihan glared at her fiercely. He suppressed his anger and asked, "Where's Xiaofeng? And where did he?" "I just said that I wasn't feeling well, so I went out to get some fresh air." "Get some fresh air?" Huaqihan's face darkened. "Why are you running around in someone else's house? Don't tell me he went to look for that woman again?" Mrs. Hua's expression changed when she heard this. No way. Who knows? It's not the first time he's messed up a good thing. Hurry up and go find him. If you find him in contact with that woman again, tell him to get out of my sight. I don't have a son like him. Chapter 423. Mrs. Hua opened her mouth but did not say anything in the end. If it had been someone else, she might have been able to defend Hua Xiaofeng. But now that that woman was involved, not to mention Huaqihan, even his mother suspected that the woman had put a curse on her son. He had suffered so many losses at her hands. She and her husband had also threatened him that if he had any contact with that woman again, they would cut ties with him. But he still did as he pleased. Had they really spoiled him so much over the years that he was fearless? Or was he sure that he was their only son and could not do anything to him? Mrs. Hua was full of anger, but she could not really admit that her son was stupid. So, she put all her resentment on Wen Jingping. In the original novel, Mrs. Hua did not have a good impression of Wen Jingping, the heroine from a poor family. She felt that she was not worthy of her son. Now, when Jinping had dragged her down several times, even her son's position as the heir had been removed, Mrs. Hui increasingly felt that this woman was a jinx. She was afraid that she would never accept such a daughter-in-law in the future. Family Hua and Mrs. Hua were losing their minds. They were almost angered to death. On the other hand, Xuanhuan and Hua Xiaofeng were enjoying the highest courtesy of the Lan family. Unfortunately, although Old Master Lan and Old Madam Lan liked Xuanhuan, they were old and did not have much energy. After a few more words with the two of them, she asked her son and daughter-in-law to help take care of them. When the men gathered together, most of the topics they could find to talk about were related to business. Mrs. Lan was worried that Su Yiyan would be bored listening to them, so she asked her daughter-in-law to take Su Yiyan to the side to eat something. Today, the Lan family's private chef was in charge of the food and beverage at the banquet. This chef was somewhat famous outside. Some of the people at the banquet had come because of his reputation. Therefore, it was not rude for the two of them to hide and eat at the side. Su Yiyan tried some of their snacks. He had to admit that this chef was quite capable. The food he made was much better than the chef's outside. Is it to your taste? Lan Foran's eldest daughter-in-law Yan Xiaoran saw that Su Yiyan had only taken a bite of the pastry before stopping, and asked with a faint smile. Su Yiyan seemed to have woken up from a dream. It's quite delicious. Grandma's appetite isn't that good when the weather gets hot. If the food at home isn't good, she won't be able to eat. Su Yiyan understood instantly. No wonder the Lan family chef was so good at cooking. If it wasn't so good, he might not have been able to enter their house. These men never stop talking once they start talking about serious matters. We can't even get a word in if we stay by their side. Why don't we come over and eat something first? You and Xuanhuan didn't eat anything before coming here, did you? I came here in a hurry, so I ate some snacks that I made this morning. I'm not particularly hungry. You know how to make pastries too? Yan Xiaoran was a little surprised. I've learned a thing or two from my family's chef, but the taste is not as good as yours. Yan Xiaoran was quite confident in her family's chef's craftsmanship, but she was surprised. Your family's chef doesn't hide anything. Su Yiyan smiled and did not say anything. Just at this moment, a slightly familiar figure walked in from outside, attracting Yan Xiaoran's attention. Little Yi, come here. Yan Xiaoran waved at the young man not far away and called him over. Su Yiyan followed the sound and saw the person approaching. His eyes widened slightly and he was surprised. It's him? Chapter 424. Lan Jia walked up to Yan Xiaoran and greeted her flatteringly, sister-in-law. It's fine if it's any other day, but today is such an important day. Why did you come back so late and make the guests wait? Your brother and father are greeting the guests and have no time to talk to you. When they find out tomorrow, they'll definitely beat you up again. Sister-in-law, it's no use calling your mother. Tell me honestly, where did you go? Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh when she heard Yan Xiaoran's words. Lan Jia then noticed that there was a girl beside his sister-in-law. He took a closer look and recognized Su Yiyan. It's you. Yan Xiaoran looked at Lan Jia and then at Su Yiyan. You know each other? We've met once before. Yes. I met this lady at the streamer's shop before. There were no other empty seats in the shop, so I went over to share a table with her. Streamer? Yan Xiaoran thought for a moment and knew who Lan Jia was talking about. She looked at Su Yiyan with an inexplicable sense of friendliness. You're a fan of the streamer too? Su Yiyan laughed dryly and didn't say yes or no. Yan Xiaoran stared at her for a while and felt a little strange. Lan Jia didn't think much of it and said casually, I left in a hurry last time and didn't have time to ask for your name. I thought we wouldn't meet again, but I didn't expect to meet you again at my grandfather's birthday banquet. It's fate. Grandfather? Then the grandmother you mentioned before. She thought about how Lan Jia said his grandmother had a bad appetite and how Yan Xiaoran said old Madame Lan couldn't eat when the weather was hot. She immediately understood. Su Yiyan touched her nose awkwardly and thought to herself, this is too much of a coincidence. The first audience she sent to her live streaming room happened to be a member of the Lan family. Yes, have you met my grandparents? Lan Jia asked and then remembered that he still didn't know Su Yiyan's name. You're a guest today too? You are. Before Lan Jia could finish his words, Yan Xiaoran stepped forward and introduced him. Little Yi, this is your Uncle Hua's wife. Based on seniority, you should call her aunt. Su Yiyan almost choked on the pastry. No need. Just call me by my name. Although Su Yiyan had always used her status as an aunt to annoy Hua Xiaofeng, She was actually not used to being called an aunt by her peers. Lan Jia heaved a sigh of relief. That's great. I'm not used to addressing someone who's not much older than me as my aunt. Wouldn't that make her sound old? Jia. Yin Xiaoran yelled at him in disapproval. It's okay. My surname is Su and my name is Yayan. Lan Jia's attention was instantly diverted. Yayan? Which Yan? Don't talk when eating or sleeping. Isn't that the streamer's Yen? What a coincidence. Su Yin's expression completely froze. She lowered her head and took a bite of the pastry to hide the guilt in her eyes. She laughed dryly and said, it's quite a coincidence. At that time I followed her because of her name. If she had known that such a day would come, she would not have been lazy to give herself such an ID name. No wonder. Lan Jia said casually and did not take it to heart. On the other hand, Yen Xiaoran heard Lan Jia's words and saw the change in Su Yiyen's expression. She suddenly thought of something and looked at Su Yiyen with a meaningful gaze. Chapter 425. Yen Xiaoran took a long look at Su Yiyen before returning to the original topic. You haven't told me where you went just now. She then added, don't try to lie to me. You've been going out from time to time these past few days. Your brother already asked your classmates and friends. You didn't look for them when you went out. Where did you go? Lan Jia was only a few years younger than Yen Xiaoran and Lan Minghan. Yen Xiaoran didn't really want to interfere with Lan Jia's private life, but he had been going out too often recently, and his family had noticed that something was wrong. Although Lan Minghan didn't say anything, he was actually a little anxious. He was afraid that Lan Jia would learn bad things from some shady people or that he didn't dare to tell them. That was why Yen Xiaoran wanted to take this opportunity to ask him properly. Lan Jia was a little embarrassed when he heard her words. He laughed foolishly and said, It's nothing. I just went to pick someone up. Pick someone up? Yen Xiaoran frowned slightly. Oh. Lan Jia giggled foolishly again. He fidgeted and didn't say anything, just like a young lady. Su Yiyen watched from the side and suddenly had an epiphany. Girlfriend? Yen Xiaoran was stunned. A few seconds later she reacted and exclaimed, Really? You have a girlfriend? When did this happen? Why didn't you tell us something so important? Lan Jia blushed slightly and said with a smile, It happened a few months ago. We just confirmed our relationship recently, so I didn't tell you guys. So you've been going out to look for her recently? Even today? Yeah. Then why didn't you just bring her over? She said that we just started dating and she wasn't ready to meet my parents right away. Yen Xiaoran raised her eyebrows. She sounded like a reserved girl, but she didn't know what her personality was like. Is that girl your classmate or someone introduced her to you? Did you pursue her first? Lan Jia didn't want to hide it anymore and said honestly, We're from the same school but we're not in the same faculty. She's a year younger than me. As for pursuing her, you could say that I pursued her first. Why do you sound like you're not very sure? Actually, I only had a good impression of her at first. I didn't have that kind of thought. Then why are you? It's all because of the host's Chinese motherwort boiled eggs. Su Yiyen was shocked when she was suddenly called out again. What does this have to do with the streamer? She remembered that the online ID of this young master of the Lan family seemed to be, What can I do if I don't like you? Did she draw him in the boiled eggs with motherwort episode? Yen Xiaoran saw her reaction, and her eyes flashed with a ray of light. Lan Jia smiled awkwardly and said, Didn't the streamer pick 3 lucky viewers during the live stream? I contacted one of them and asked her to transfer the prize to me. I wanted to give it to you but I didn't expect. Yen Xiaoran suddenly realized that when the Chinese motherwort boiled eggs were delivered to her, she was on her period and was in extreme pain. She heard from Lan Minghan that he had won this item from a lucky draw while watching someone's livestream. It was effective in treating menstrual pain. Before he brought it back he had already tried it himself. There weren't any problems so he asked her if she wanted to try it. Although Yen Xiaoran felt that the stuff online wasn't very reliable, her stomach was really hurting so she drank it in the end. She didn't expect it to be effective. Chapter 426. It was also from then on that she and Lan Minghan became Su Yiyen's diehard fans. However, other than tipping and participating in the lucky draw, they spent most of their time lurking and did not have much of a presence. Don't tell me, you gave this to your little girlfriend after you saw it? Lan Jia nodded in embarrassment. When he brought it home, he realized that although his brother said he did not want to watch it, his brother's body was very honest. He was lucky enough to be one of the lucky viewers. Since both of them had it, there was no need for him to give it to them. Lan Jia could not eat it himself, but it would be a waste to throw it away. After weighing the pros and cons, he gave it to his junior who had a good impression of him and was also suffering from menstrual cramps. He did not expect that when he gave it to her, others would think that he was wooing her. His junior did not think that way, but she felt embarrassed not to reciprocate after eating his food. As time went by, the two of them came into contact with each other. After that, the two of them began to have feelings for each other. Naturally, when the conditions were right, success was achieved. After hearing his explanation, Su Yiyan said with a stiff face, "So, when you said you wanted to meet her personally and thank her, it was to thank her for unintentionally bringing your marriage together?" "That's one reason. My grandma's incident is another." Yen Xiaoran nodded in understanding and chuckled. "So, the streamer is your matchmaker?" Su Yiyan. No, she did not want to be their matchmaker at all. Lan Jia touched his nose and smiled a little foolishly. "You can say that." Okay. "I'm relieved to know that you're just getting a girlfriend and did not do anything bad. If something like this happens again in the future, you should tell us earlier so that our family doesn't know the inside story and secretly let their imagination run wild." "Got it. Okay, go find your brother and the others. I have something to talk to your aunt about." Lan Jia instinctively wanted to ask something, but he was afraid that Yen Xiaoran would ask him about his girlfriend. He could only suppress his curiosity and hurriedly leave. As soon as he left, Yen Xiaoran looked at Su Yiyan and suddenly picked up a piece of pastry from the table and handed it to her. "Eat one more." Su Yiyan had just eaten one. Seeing that the taste of this pastry seemed to be different from the previous one, she didn't think much of it and reached out to take it. Su Yiyan raised her head and looked at her in confusion. Her hand was already holding the pastry, but the other party did not let go. Before he could say anything, he heard Yen Xiaoran say, "You are actually the host, right?" Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed and her smile was a little stiff. "What did you say? How could I?" "I recognize your hand." "And?" Su Yiyan reflexively retracted her hand. Little did she know that her action had confirmed Yen Xiaoran's conjecture. "Your hands are slender and fair. I can tell that you've lived a comfortable life and haven't done any heavy work. But there's a small scar on the back of your right hand's ring finger. I saw it during the live broadcast. It's exactly the same. In addition, when Little Yi mentioned the host, your reaction was a little strange. Your name overlaps with the host's name, and when Little Yi went to your shop, he happened to bump into you, so I boldly made a guess. Could you be the host?" Su Yiyan widened her eyes and looked at the white scar on her right hand's ring finger that was not even the size of a fingernail. She sighed inwardly. "Are you from the special department? You observed so carefully while watching a live broadcast." Chapter 427. Su Yiyan complained in her heart. Her mouth twitched. "Why didn't you tell him just now? Since you don't want to show your real face to others even though you've opened a shop, and you don't want to reveal your identity when you see Jia Yi, I think you don't want too many people to know about this." Yen Xiaoran winked at her playfully. "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone." Su Yiyan's mood was complicated. She didn't know whether to be sad or happy. "I know it's rude of me to ask about your identity so rashly. But recently I've been troubled by a question. It's rare to meet the right person, so I couldn't help but ask." "What's the question?" "Can pregnant women eat rock candy papaya?" Su Yiyan almost choked on her own saliva. Wait, rock candy papaya? Did you make it yourself?" "Of course not, it was a gift from the streamer's live stream." "Did the streamer forget?" Su Yiyan's eyes widened slightly. She had a bold guess in her heart. She asked tentatively, "Pardon me for asking, but your husband is—" "My husband's surname is Lan, and his name is Ming Han." "Lan Ming Han. This name, Ming Ming? Ruin? Does the streamer remember him?" The corner of Su Yiyan's mouth twitched a few times. She thought to herself, the only male viewer who won the prize was just right. After that, he even showed off his affection in her live broadcast room. If she still did not have an impression of him, then she would be too careless. "It's okay to eat a little, just don't eat too much." "That's good." Yen Xiaoran breathed a sigh of relief. "Speaking of which, Jia Yi isn't the only one who needs to thank you. Ming Han and I also need to thank you. If it weren't for the medicinal cuisine in your live stream, I'm afraid I wouldn't have a child so soon." Su Yiyan heard her words and had a bad feeling. Could it be that she and young Master Lan had eaten the medicinal cuisine that she made in her live stream to treat ovaries or men's diseases? Yen Xiaoran seemed to have seen through Su Yiyan's thoughts. She looked at her and smiled meaningfully. Su Yiyan? The odds of winning are so high. Is your family the reincarnation of a koi? Ahem, you and your husband are young. It's only a matter of time before you have a child. It's just a coincidence. That's true, but your medicinal cuisine must have had some effect. Auntie, you don't have to be modest. Su Yiyan? She was at a loss for words when he called her aunt. How many months are you pregnant? Almost 3 months. Xianxia's stomach had actually started to rise and fall a little. It was just that the clothes she wore today were a little loose, so it couldn't be seen. Your body is weak and you have some symptoms of cold congealing in your womb. You are more sensitive to the cold than the average person. During menstruation, your lower abdomen will also be cold and painful, and you will have to suffer a lot. Xianxia was startled. She was a little nervous. Then what should we do? When the month gets bigger and the weather gets hotter, they should also be careful not to be too greedy. Teat. You can also soak your feet properly before you sleep. Let him massage the sunken part of your feet. You'll feel much better. Su Yiyan paused and comforted her. The child is fine now. Don't worry. Xianxia sighed in relief. She knew that Su Yiyan's suggestions were good for her body. She listened carefully and remembered them in her heart. Chapter 428. If you feel any discomfort after giving birth, you can also ask me. Su Yiyan then seemed to think of something and added, you can also ask other doctors. I'm not as professional as they are. Xianxia smiled. In my opinion, you're much more reliable than them. Su Yiyan smiled but didn't say anything. She said this to Xianxia only because she cared about the kindness of the 2 elders of the Lan family who had helped xuanhuan in the past. Xianxia was the eldest daughter-in-law of the Lan family. As Father Lan gradually handed over the Lan family's company to Lan Minghan in recent years, Mother Lan slowly gave up her position as the mistress of the Lan family. She accompanied her husband and the 2 elders to live a leisurely retirement life. At first, no one noticed that she was separated from the main group. Now that they saw the 2 of them hiding in a remote corner, they came over one by one. In just a few minutes, there were already 5 or 6 more people around the 2 of them. These people came for Xianxia and most of them didn't know Su Yiyan, so they didn't dare to talk to her rashly. Su Yiyan saw through these people's thoughts and was happy to be invisible. However, when she turned her gaze, she happened to see Huqihan, his wife, and Hua Xiaofeng not far away. This family of 3 was quite interesting. They came to attend someone else's birthday banquet, and their faces were dark the whole time. Especially the father and son, they didn't even want to look at each other and kept their backs to each other. Those who didn't know better would think that they weren't father and son but enemies. Mrs. Hua, who was sandwiched between the 2 of them, was naturally in a bad situation. She looked at her husband and then at her son, and she looked like she didn't know how to persuade them. A madam who wanted to please Xianxia but couldn't get a word in edgewise saw that Su Yiyan had been staring in the direction of the family of 3. Her eyes flashed and she finally found an opportunity to speak. Hey, aren't those people over there from the family Hua? Why do they look like they're quarreling? The other madam's attention was also instantly attracted. Family Hua? The family Hua of the Hua group? Who else could it be? Why are they here? When Xianxia heard someone suddenly mention the family Hua, she subconsciously glanced at Su Yiyan. Seeing that her expression didn't seem to change, he faintly said, Family Hua's old master and our old master have known each other since they were young. Today is old master's birthday, so we invited these people to join in the fun. Several people saw that her expression was cold, and when she mentioned those people, she did not have the slightest intimacy in her voice. They knew that Xianxia did not like these people very much. Xianxia was the Lan family's young mistress and the future mistress of the Lan family. Her attitude most likely represented the Lan family's attitude. They looked at each other and immediately understood what attitude they should adopt towards the family Hua trio. I heard that the young master of the family Hua was recently kicked out of the company by the old directors of the Hua Corporation. I heard about it too. Don't you think it's funny? The Hua Corporation was founded by old master Hua himself. Now he actually kicked out his own heir. If this was in the ancient times of Earth, this would be considered a coup d'etat. If old master Hua's spirit is in heaven, I'm afraid he'll come back to life from anger. You can't blame the directors of the Hua Corporation. Although the Hua Corporation is a family Hua business, it's not only related to the family Hua's interests. Which of these old directors who receive dividends doesn't want to sit at home and earn a lot of money? Unfortunately, the young master of the Hua Corporation is a loser. You all heard about the Hua Corporation's plot of land a few days ago, right? Chapter 429. Yes. I heard about it too. Didn't the Hua Corporation donate that piece of land later on? They're a big corporation after all. They donated such a large piece of land just like that. Do you think they wanted to? They were forced to do it. I have a distant relative who happened to be in charge of the handover of that piece of land. I heard that because young Master Hua was in charge of that piece of land, he didn't get anyone to survey it before bidding for it. When they started construction, they immediately dug up something underneath. Coincidentally, young Master Hua brought a girl to look for Miss Su at the time, and the media happened to expose it. The Hua Corporation's reputation was damaged, and their stock price kept falling. They had no choice but to donate that piece of land to salvage some of their reputation. I know about that too. Do you think there's something wrong with young Master Family Hua's brain? When he broke off his engagement with Miss Su at the same time, it was such a big deal. Anyone with eyes could see that they were in the wrong. Yet, he still had the audacity to bring that mistress to look for Miss Su so openly. It looks like he really doesn't think he's in the wrong. These people only heard rumors and didn't necessarily understand the details. Otherwise, they would have recognized that the person sitting in front of them was one of the main characters in their conversation. One of the ladies said with a dark expression, "Which one of these stinky men thinks they're in the wrong for abandoning their wives to look for other women? If it weren't for that piece of land, they might have been picked up high and put down lightly again." If you ask me, young Master Hua deserves to be kicked out of the Hua Corporation. Not only is he incapable, but his character is also terrible. If the Hua Corporation is really handed over to him, I'm afraid it's the end. Perhaps they wanted to use the family Hua as a stumbling block, or perhaps it was because the family Hua's reputation in the industry wasn't good, but they spared no effort in criticizing the family Hua. Su Yiyan listened from the side and more or less took pleasure in their misfortune. When the other ladies heard the last lady's words, they looked at each other and understood what was going on. This madam's younger sister just so happened to be married to a man with a mistress outside. Before the marriage, she thought that he was a good man, but who knew that he would only reveal his true nature after the marriage? The madam's parents were old-fashioned people. They felt that it would be difficult for their daughter to find another man after the divorce, so they kept preventing her sister from getting a divorce. Her younger sister had been tortured for a few years. 2 years ago, she couldn't take it anymore and decided to castrate her husband and wipe her own knife. Chapter 430. Su Yiyan was shocked when she heard this. She felt like she was enjoying the show, but she was suddenly shocked by her own family. Speaking of which, I think I saw the young master coming over. He was just talking to the old master and old madam. The person was not sure and turned to ask Yan Xiaoran, "Isn't that right, Xiaoran?" Yan Xiaoran smiled. "Today is grandfather's 70th birthday. Uncle Xuanhuan took the time out of his busy schedule to come. Grandfather and grandmother are very happy." The way she called him Uncle Xuanhuan was a stark contrast to the way she referred to him as these people. It really is him. After all, the old master is more influential. Ever since, it seems that he rarely shows his face outside. Isn't that right? I almost didn't recognize him when I saw him just now. He looks even better than before, but those legs. It's a pity. If it weren't for that accident, my little niece might have been a couple with him. Su Yiyan choked and shocked everyone at the table. Yan Xiaoran knew why she choked and quickly patted her on the back to help her breathe. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Su Yiyan waved her hand with a subtle expression. Not only did she gossip about her own family, but she almost caused her own house to collapse. "You just said that your niece almost became a couple with the young master of the family Hua back then?" That person opened her mouth and was about to speak, but the woman next to her had already exposed her. "Don't listen to her nonsense. How could the family Hua like her niece?" The woman who had boasted about her niece was a little guilty at first when Su Yiyan asked, but she was unhappy when she heard this. "My niece is a pure and innocent girl and she's also beautiful. Why would the Hua family not like my niece? Innocent and beautiful girls can't marry into a rich family these days." "You." Su Yiyan didn't know who these two women were, but she could tell that they didn't get along. She raised her eyebrows and asked curiously, "Your niece is engaged to young Master Hua?" The woman's expression stiffened, and her eyes began to wander. The woman who was bickering with her sneered and exposed her on the spot. What engagement? Her niece had shamelessly pestered young Master Hua, but young Master Hua hadn't even looked her in the eye. Later, something happened to young Master Hua, and her niece ran away faster than anyone else. The next year she married a peddler and her child is probably a few years old now. As soon as she said that, the people around her looked at her with disdain. The woman panicked and defended her niece. Love is a matter of mutual consent. Besides, young Master Hua is crippled and my niece is still so young. Is she going to hang herself on him for the rest of her life? Don't just stand there and talk. You speak so righteously, but if you're really not afraid, why don't you marry your daughters to him? The few of them choked and muttered in a low voice, "Our girls have never shamelessly pestered others like your niece." Su Yiyin saw the change in everyone's expression. His eyes darkened and he stood up. Yin Xiaoran thought she was going to lose her temper. "Yin?" Su Yiyin ignored her and turned to look at the woman. "Thank your niece for not marrying him. Otherwise he wouldn't have been able to meet someone better. I'll let it go this time, but if I hear you call him a cripple again..." Su Yiyin's eyes turned cold and murderous. "I'll make you a cripple." Chapter 431. Su Yiyin's sudden outburst shocked everyone present, including Yin Xiaoran. By the time she reacted, Su Yiyin had already said, "You guys take your time talking. I'm going back." She turned and left. After she walked away, the woman who had faced Su Yiyin's anger directly came to her senses. She pointed at Su Yiyin's back and asked, "What did she mean by that?" "It's literally what it means." Yin Xiaoran's expression was a bit ugly. She sneered, "You mocked her husband's disability in front of her. She was kind enough not to flip the table and slap you on the spot." "Husband?" the woman exclaimed. She's... Yin Xiaoran didn't want to waste time with her. She got up and said, "I'm a bit tired. I'm going upstairs to rest. Help yourselves." As soon as Yin Xiaoran left, the rest of the women consciously distanced themselves from the woman. The woman watched the two disappear into the distance. She couldn't help but shudder when she thought about the rumors about young Master Hua's unpredictable temperament and cruel means of revenge after being disabled. Oh no, she seemed to have gotten into big trouble. After Su Yiyin parted ways with Yin Xiaoran and the others, she ran to find Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan was talking to the father and son of the Lan family. When she saw Su Yiyin come back alone, her eyes flashed slightly. She immediately stretched out her hand in her direction. "Why are you here?" "It's boring to be alone over there, so I came to keep you company." Xuanhuan didn't believe her. She looked her up and down and asked tentatively, "Tired?" Su Yiyin was stunned. She thought about what the woman had just said and felt indescribably depressed. She lowered her eyes and said, "A little." Xuanhuan saw that her mood was not as high as it was when she arrived. She frowned slightly and said to the father and son of the Lan family, "There's something at home. We have to go back first. Yin Yin and I gave our gifts to the housekeeper before we came in. Tell Uncle Lan and Aunt Yi for me." Lan Minghan was surprised. "You've only been here for a while. Why are you going back so soon?" Papa Lan's gaze swept over Su Yiyin. He didn't force her to stay and only said, "There are many people today. Let's have a meal together another day, just the two of us." "Okay." Xuanhuan responded and left with Su Yiyin. As soon as the two of them left, Yin Xiaoran also came over. She did not see Su Yiyin, so she asked doubtfully, "Where are they?" "Let's go." Mr. Lan took the initiative to ask, "What happened just now? I saw that Xuanhuan's wife didn't look too good when she came back." Yin Xiaoran sighed and told the few of them about what had happened over there. Papa Lan and Mama Lan's faces darkened after hearing it. Master Lan and Xuanhuan's father were good friends. Before the accident, the two families had been in contact. Xuanhuan was about the same age as Lan Minghan. Although the couple and Xuanhuan were of the same generation, they had always regarded Xuanhuan as their nephew. It was rare that Xuanhuan was willing to take the initiative to come over to celebrate Master Lan's birthday. However, they encountered such a thing in their territory. How could they not be angry? These gossipy women love to gossip behind people's backs. Yin Xiaoran reminded her mother with a smile. "Mom, they don't know the identity of Miss Su. If it weren't for the fact that they don't know, they wouldn't have said it in front of the person. They are not fools." Yin Xiaoran choked and was speechless. Mama Lan was a little worried after saying that. "Do you think Miss Su will be unhappy because of this and quarrel with Xuanhuan?" Chapter 432. She had been isolated at home for so long and finally figured it out. She wanted to go out for a walk and change her mood. If she quarreled and went back to square one, wouldn't all her efforts be wasted? Mr. Lan frowned and comforted his wife. "It shouldn't be. Didn't Xuanhuan just agree to have dinner with us a few days later?" Who knows what will happen in the future? If they quarrel, how can they be in the mood to eat with us? Lan Minghan also persuaded, Mom, I saw that Miss Su wasn't in a good mood just now, but she didn't lose her temper with little uncle. When little uncle left, he said that both of them brought gifts for grandpa. It can be seen that they have a good relationship. Miss Su should be unhappy because she heard people talk about little uncle like that. Mrs. Lan's expression didn't change. She just wanted to say that Xuanhuan said that both of them brought gifts, so both of them prepared gifts? Maybe he prepared the gifts for his wife because he loved her. Before he could say anything, Yin Xiaoran had already exclaimed, Gift? What gifts? Hearing Yin Xiaoran's question, they didn't doubt her and said truthfully, he said that he gave them to the housekeeper. Lan Minghan saw that she wanted to see, so he reminded her in a low voice, there are so many guests now. Wait until they leave. Although Yin Xiaoran was curious, she knew that her husband was right. She nodded and secretly guessed that Su Yiyin might have sent those precious Chinese herbs. Su Yiyin didn't let her down. When the banquet was over and the crowd dispersed, Yin Xiaoran hurriedly asked the housekeeper to send the gifts that Xuanhuan brought. Xuanhuan picked a good jade for Mr. Lan. It was warm to the touch, which was suitable for people like the old man who was afraid of the cold. In addition, he also gave a string of pearls to old Madame Lan under the pretext of giving a gift. Su Yiyin's gift was placed under these two things in a long box. When they opened it, they were stunned. This is... Before Mr. Lan finished speaking, Lan Minghan, and Yin Xiaoran shouted in unison, Ginseng. The two elders were stunned. You all know what this is? Of course, it's a kind of Chinese medicine. It had appeared in the host's live broadcast room before. It was said to be a very, very precious Chinese medicine that could greatly replenish vitality. Even if a seriously ill patient still has a single breath left, this thing can also help to prolong their life. So magical? Father Lan looked at his second son, his eyes full of doubt. He always felt that his second son was bragging. Lan Jia could tell what his father was thinking at a glance, and he was furious. Just as he was about to argue with him, Yin Xiaoran had already taken a step forward and explained for him, although it may not be that exaggerated, but it's more or less the same effect. The data provided by the research institute couldn't be faked. It's just that it said that the older it is, the more nutritious it is. If you really want to eat such a big tree, you might only need a little bit. You can't eat too much at once. When Mr. and Mrs. Lan heard her words, they looked at the box of ginseng with more caution. The research institute mentioned it before, so it should be true. You have to keep such a precious thing well. Seeing this, Lan Jia couldn't help but whisper, You don't believe me when I say it, but you believe it when my brother and sister-in-law say it. Mr. Lan was amused by his words. If you could be as sensible as your brother and sister-in-law, I would believe it too. You only know how to run around all day. You're not serious and you still want people to believe you. Chapter 433. Lan Jia opened his mouth to refute. He wasn't running around, he was looking for a girlfriend. But then he thought that if he said that, his father might think that he was going out to pick up girls, which was also not a proper occupation. He could only shut his mouth reluctantly. When Lan Minghan heard his wife's words, he suddenly remembered that the host had mentioned the medicinal effect of this thing in the live broadcast room. He told the housekeeper, This is good stuff. Even the research institute might not have many of them. Occasionally when you stew soup, you can put a few pieces or a few roots in it. You have to take good care of it. The housekeeper hurriedly agreed. He suddenly felt that the hand holding the box was much heavier. Lan Jia stared at the high-quality ginseng and spontaneously found an excuse for Su Yiyin. Yin must have seen this in the host's live broadcast room. He knew that this thing was precious, so he specially bought it from the host and gave it to Grandpa. The corner of Yin Xiaoran's mouth twitched. She thought, It's not as troublesome as you think. This thing originally belonged to me. Lan Jia's mother frowned slightly and scolded her youngest son. Is Yin someone you can call? You have no respect for your elders. Lan Jia. She clearly said that calling her aunt made her sound old, so he called her that. In the end he still got scolded. He was really picked up from the streets. Yin Xiaoran didn't help him. She smiled faintly and said, Mom, now you, Dad, and Grandpa and Grandma can rest assured. Miss Su is willing to give us such a precious thing. Obviously she cares about little uncle. She knows that we treat little uncle well, so she gave such a good thing to Grandpa. Just like what Minghan said just now, she doesn't look well. It's most likely because she heard that little uncle was criticized by those gossipy women. She can't wait to feel sorry for little uncle. She won't quarrel with little uncle. That's good. Lan Jia's mother was relieved. She secretly thought that Xuanhuan had suffered too much these years. If there really was someone who cared about him and loved him, it could be considered that his parents in heaven were watching over him. At that time, Su Yiyin, who didn't know that her bad mood was exposed, was worried that she might quarrel with Xuanhuan. She was really angry. While he was angry, he couldn't help but feel sorry for the people around him. Xuanhuan noticed that she had been staring at her since she got into the car. She asked in a low voice, "Is there anything on my face?" Su Yiyin shook his head. "Not feeling well?" Su Yiyin shook his head again. "Not in a good mood?" Su Yiyin shook his head and then nodded. Xuanhuan couldn't help laughing. "Is this good or bad?" Su Yiyin snorted coldly and turned his face away. Seeing her like this, Xuanhuan restrained the smile on her face and asked in a low voice, "What happened? Who made you unhappy?" "No one. I just followed young Madame Lan to listen to a few people's gossip. My heart is a little blocked." Xuanhuan's face fell completely when she heard the word gossip. "What did they say?" Su Yiyin snorted and said unhappily, "They say that you, young Master Hua, used to be handsome and dashing, and the girls who liked you almost broke the threshold of your family's house." Xuanhuan's face stiffened slightly. She didn't expect Su Yiyin to bring this up. She said without thinking, "Don't listen to their nonsense. It's all fake." "Really? Then why did I hear that there was a girl who almost got engaged to you?" "Engaged?" Xuanhuan's face was full of shock. Which bastard dared to spread such rumors about him? Did they have a death wish? Chapter 434. Xuanhuan, who was caught off guard by the accusation, was stunned for a few seconds. He quickly expressed his loyalty and said, "Nonsense. I have never been engaged to anyone except you, and I have never liked any other woman. Don't listen to their nonsense." "Really?" "Absolutely." "Then is it true that many girls used to like you?" Xuanhuan choked. Su Yiyin knew it was true when she saw his reaction. She was jealous and annoyed. Xuanhuan was a little flustered at first. When he calmed down, he noticed that something was wrong. Su Yiyin's reaction was jealousy, but it looked more like she was really angry. "Did they also say that no girls were willing to approach me after I became disabled?" Su Yiyin froze and did not speak. Xuanhuan had already gotten the answer from her reaction. He breathed a sigh of relief and reached out to straighten Su Yiyin's body. "You are angry because of this, right?" Su Yiyin pursed her lips and still did not speak. Seeing her like this, Xuanhuan suddenly remembered what he had heard from Yu Zian. The man in front of him had beaten Hua Xiaofeng to the hospital because he had mocked him for being disabled. His heart was as soft as cotton, poking holes in it. "Isn't that good? I don't like them. I only feel annoyed when they always come to me. I am happy that they don't bother me." What Xuanhuan did not say was that there were still women who wanted to bother him when he was disabled. Later he gave up because he knew that his father did not give the Hua group to him, but to Hua Qihan. However, Xuanhuan did not care much about this. He only cared about Su Yiyin from the beginning to the end. He used to hate his disability because he felt that he was not complete and was not worthy of Su Yiyin. Even so, Su Yiyin came to him without hesitation and walked into his life. Compared with this, nothing else mattered. "Moreover, I am slowly getting better now. Soon I will not be disabled." Su Yiyin heard the first half of his words and did not like to talk. When she heard the second half, her face changed. She covered Xuanhuan's mouth and said, "Don't say it." "What? Don't say that word." "Okay, I won't say it." Xuanhuan took Su Yiyin's hand and smiled. "Who said this to you? Did you quarrel with them? Did you suffer any losses?" Su Yiyin hesitated for a moment and said truthfully, "I didn't lose anything. They didn't even know who I was in the beginning." "Don't know who you are?" "Yes. At first they were talking about Hua Qihan's family. Later, I don't know why they suddenly talked about you. One of the women said that you and her niece almost became a couple. There was another woman next to her who did not get along with her very well. She mocked her niece and said that you did not want her niece. Later, when you had an accident, she ran away faster than anyone else." When the woman heard this, she was angry and began to talk about you without thinking. Xuanhuan listened to the ins and outs of the matter but laughed and teased, "You know that she is the one who is pestering me. I don't like her at all. Why are you jealous just now?" Su Yiyin was exposed and became angry out of shame. "Do you have a problem with that?" Xuanhuan immediately surrendered. "No, you are my wife. You should be jealous when others say this. I'm also happy that you can be jealous for me." Chapter 435. Su Yiyin listened to Xuanhuan's kind response. She felt a little embarrassed, but she still snorted proudly. Although Xuanhuan liked that Su Yiyin was jealous of her, she didn't want her to be angry because of this. She comforted her at the right time. That woman is also stupid. Let's not argue with an idiot. It's bad for your health to be angry. Su Yiyin calmed down and thought about it. Wasn't this woman stupid? Putting aside the fact that her niece was only in love with him back then, even if they were in love with each other back then, her niece had already married someone else and had children. Xuanhuan also had his own small family, so these things should not be talked about. If this spread to the family of her niece's son-in-law and her niece's son-in-law, what would they think of her niece? Or was she taking advantage of the fact that she wasn't around and so many years had passed to give her niece the title of a former lover? Who was she trying to disgust? Su Yiyin thought about it and felt that there was only one possibility, and that was, what's wrong? Xuanhuan saw Su Yiyin suddenly raise her head and stare at her faintly. Her heart trembled for fear that she would say something shocking again. Su Yiyin shook her head and said earnestly, "Nothing. I just suddenly thought of a saying." What saying? Money moves people's hearts. These women dared to openly mock Huqihan's family and elevate Xuanhuan. On the one hand, it was because Huqihan's family had suffered a big setback recently. On the other hand, it was nothing more than seeing that Xuanhuan had a good relationship with the Lan family. They wanted to build a relationship with the Lan family through Xuanhuan. To put it bluntly, what was tempting was never the person, but the hidden benefits behind the person. If that's the case, you don't have to worry. Huh? Su Yiyin looked at him in confusion. I'm just a gigolo who depends on my wife. If you don't pay me a salary, I won't even have the money to support my family. What else is there for them to covet? Su Yiyin thought about it for a while. That seemed to be the case. Needless to say, the feeling of being in control of the family's finances was really great. Su Yiyin, who was a little confused by the sugar-coated bullet of money, suddenly looked better. Then she saw her man's face and her face suddenly became serious again. She said earnestly, "Beauty can also move people's hearts." Su Yiyin even touched Xuanhuan's face like a dandy who was flirting with a man from a good family. "Just like me, what I fancy is your beauty." Fortunately, the front and back seats of the car had soundproof glass, which perfectly isolated the two people's voices. Otherwise, if the driver in front heard Su Yiyin's words, he would have driven the car into a ditch. Perhaps because she had been flirted with too many times during this period, Xuanhuan was no longer blushing like before. When she heard Su Yiyin's words, she even smiled and replied, "No matter how their hearts are moved, it's useless. They will only be yours." Su Yiyin? Her skin had become thick-skinned. She was not as easy to flirt with as before. However, these words were quite pleasant to hear, so she reluctantly let it go. "That's more like it. Remember what you said. No matter if it's your money or your beauty, you must not pick the wildflowers outside." Seeing that Su Yiyin was no longer angry with those people, Xuanhuan's eyes also had a little more smile. However, this smile did not last long and was replaced by coldness. Although he comforted Su Yiyin not to take those words to heart, he did not intend to let off the woman who gossiped and hurt Su Yiyin. Chapter 436. Su Yiyin didn't know the twists and turns in Xuanhuan's mind. After returning from the Lan family, she began to nervously prepare for class. To be precise, she had started preparing for the class a few days ago. However, the day before the class, she had forgotten all about her confidence and knowledge. All that was left was nervousness. Xuanhuan saw her panic. He felt distressed, jealous, and amused. "You're just going to teach a few brats. Do you have to be so nervous?" "Brats? Some of them are older than me and even you. You're really not embarrassed to call them brats." Su Yiyin suddenly remembered that Yi Qiliang seemed to have said before that he would bring some elders to sit in on the class. So, the brats that Xuanhuan mentioned were most likely older than her father. "Since they are older than you, why do they want to listen to the class of a young person like you?" Su Yiyin choked and glared at him angrily. Xuanhuan didn't get angry. He said with a good temper, "Since they invited you to be a lecturer, it means that you must have the ability to convince them. Don't be afraid. Relax." Su Yiyin wasn't comforted at all. She lay on the bed and was very depressed. "This is the first time I'm teaching people. The first time is unfamiliar, the second time is familiar. I'm worried that I won't teach well and will mislead the students. If I remember correctly, you seem to be the only one who knows these things. Even if you teach wrong things, no one should know, right?" Although Xuanhuan was curious about why Su Yiyin suddenly knew how to cook and cure diseases, everyone had their own secrets, just like he had his own secrets. Blindly getting to the bottom of things wasn't necessarily a good thing sometimes. As long as she was still Su Yiyan, the one he loved deeply, that was enough. Your thinking is a little dangerous. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Xuanhuan patted Su Yiyan's head and comforted her softly. You're not a doctor, so you don't have to tie the right and wrong to yourself. Even doctors can't save all living beings. Su Yiyan thought about it and felt that it made sense. The master can lead you through the door, but the cultivation depends on the individual. It's naturally good if he learns well, but if he doesn't, there are many other things he can do. No one said that if he learns something from you, he has to apply it in the future. You're right. So don't be too nervous. Just treat it as a meeting for your company's employees. You make it sound so easy. Xuanhuan looked at her and smiled meaningfully. If you're so nervous that you can't sleep, let's do something to help you sleep tonight. What's good for my sleep? After saying that, Su Yiyan realized that something was wrong. She stared at Xuanhuan for a long time, then rolled to the side and pulled up the quilt to cover herself. Xuanhuan's eyes deepened when he saw that. He smiled and said, "Are you hinting that I can do whatever I want to you?" A buzzing voice came from under the quilt, and it sounded a little angry. "For your head, you can't. Then when can I?" The person under the quilt was silent for a moment, then she pretended to be calm and replied, "I'm asleep. I didn't hear anything just now." After saying that, she seemed to feel that her tone wasn't very good, so she added in a low voice, "We'll talk about it later." Xuanhuan looked at the little bump on the bed, smiled and said in a hoarse voice, "When I'm completely recovered." Chapter 437. Su Yiyan knew exactly what he had left out. She hid under the blanket and blushed like a cooked shrimp, but she did not dare to poke her head out of the blanket. The two of them spent the night peacefully. The next morning, Su Yiyan hurriedly left the house before Xuanhuan woke up. She naively thought that she could avoid the awkward topic by doing this. However, she did not know that not long after she left, Xuanhuan came downstairs. "Young master, should I ask someone to follow young madam to school?" "You don't have to follow her too closely. Just make sure she's safe." Zui Yanbai nodded and immediately asked someone to follow her. Su Yiyan had expected Yi Qiliang to personally come and pick her up, given how much he valued her. However, she had not expected that other than Yi Qiliang, the principal of a university would also come to pick her up. She also did not expect that the classroom, which she thought would be empty, would be filled with more than 50 people. Half of them were young people in their early 20s, while the other half were old people who were about the same age as Yi Qiliang. Su Yiyan, even though the number of people present was less than the number of people attending a small class, Su Yiyan could not help but feel nervous. Before she could speak, Yi Qiliang's face darkened. He shouted at the old people who occupied the front row, "What are you doing here?" Su Yiyan was stunned. She looked at Yi Qiliang blankly. "Didn't you call these people over?" The principal, who was standing next to Yi Qiliang, scanned the crowd and frowned. "Old Chow, Old Gu and the rest of you. Why are you here instead of staying in your school?" Su Yiyan? It seemed that some of these old people were not from the school. No wonder they all came together. If one did not know better, they would have thought that this was some kind of senior training school. The few of them did not panic when they were called out by the former principal and Yi Qiliang. They stood up and said, "Old Yi, this is your fault. Why didn't you tell us about such a good thing? Tell me, are you planning to hide him here? You're not being honest." "Bullshit, what's there to hide? I was the one who personally invited him here. You guys don't have the ability or the opportunity to do so, yet you're still trying to twist the facts and accuse me of wrongdoing. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. You want to pick up something ready-made? No way." When they saw Yi Qiliang's firm attitude, they looked at each other and decisively shifted their attention to Su Yiyan. Their eyes lit up. As soon as Su Yiyan met the gazes of these people, an ominous premonition arose in his heart. Before she could hide, this group of gray-haired old people had already rushed up to her like sprinters. They held her hand and said in an incomparably familiar manner, "You're the broadcaster who donated the Chinese medicine seeds to the research institute, right? I didn't expect you to be so young and so good-looking. You're really a young hero." Su Yiyan? That doesn't seem to be the right way to describe him. "Hello, everyone." Su Yiyan really did not know how to deal with these unfamiliar old people. She could only politely and awkwardly greet them. Just as she did not know how to continue, Yi Qiliang had already taken a step forward and pushed their hands away. He stood in front of Su Yiyan to protect her. Like a hen protecting a chick in front of an eagle, he shouted at the old people, What are you doing? What are you doing? You're already so old, yet you're still trying to get physical with a young girl. You're an old pervert, aren't you ashamed? Chapter 438. After being yelled at by Yi Qilyang, they realized that they had indeed lost their composure. They said embarrassedly, "We didn't mean anything by it. We were just too excited." Yi Qilyang snorted coldly and still refused to move aside. Su Yiyan saw that these people clearly knew Yi Qilyang. She glanced at them and finally asked, "Professor Yi, these people are?" When Yi Qilyang heard Su Yiyan's question, his entire body stiffened and he said awkwardly, "They are professors from another university's pharmacy department." "Why would professors from another university's pharmacy department come to your university?" Yi Qilyang opened his mouth and was about to explain when one of them interrupted, "We're here because of you." "Because of me?" Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and seemed to sense something. "How did you know that I was coming?" It's all my fault." Unexpectedly, the person who apologized was Yi Qilyang. It turned out that after Su Yiyan accepted his invitation, this old professor was so happy that he couldn't find his bearings. In order to vent his joy and show off, he posted this incident on his WeChat moments. In the end, this shot had attracted all of them. Yi Qilyang was now so regretful that his intestines almost turned green. He wished he could travel back in time and chop off those restless hands of his. After his explanation, Su Yiyan was embarrassed. She looked at these uninvited spectators, and the corners of her mouth twitched as she said, "Gentlemen, this is a university. It's not good for you to come here so openly to freeload, right?" "What's not good about it?" Their gazes shifted to the principal of a university. When the principal first saw these people, he was so angry that he lost his mind. Now that he had calmed down and was being stared at by these famous professors who were several years older than him, he broke out in a cold sweat. His tone was not as righteous as before. "It's not good to begin with. You're from another university. The guards let you in without permission. I'll have to settle the score with them in a while, let alone listen to a lecture here. You guys didn't apply to me." The more he said, the colder their gazes became. The old principal braced himself and held on. This precedent could not be set. Putting aside the fact that Yi Qilyang had begged for Miss Su for a long time to get her, even if it was just a normal class taught by an ordinary teacher in the school, without any application from his side, people from other schools could come and listen as they wished. Furthermore, it was right under his nose as the principal. If news of this were to spread, where would his face be? Seeing the old principal like this, they knew that it was impossible to persuade him. They looked at each other and seemed to have made up their minds. "It's fine as long as they're from your school, right? How did you come to this conclusion?" I didn't say anything, don't mess around." Sure enough, in the next second he heard a few people say, "Today we will resign and then come to your school to apply. Today let us freeload." The old principal was speechless. Could he refuse? If those old fellows knew that he had poached them, wouldn't they eat him alive? No, this wasn't right. They had clearly come here on their own accord. Su Yiyan was a little speechless when she saw their shameless behavior. She coughed lightly and reminded them, "My class is not open to anyone from a university." Before she could finish speaking, she was interrupted again. "Isn't it just a guarantee? We'll sign it. Sign it, sign it, sign it right away." Su Yiyan was speechless. What was wrong with these people? They even knew about this. Chapter 439. Yi Qilyang and the old principal were also quite surprised. They immediately reacted and looked at the students in the classroom. As expected, they were met with guilty and helpless looks. With so many big shots asking them, even if these people weren't their teachers, they didn't dare to not answer. The old principal and Yi Qilyang were speechless. "You traitors, don't even think about graduating." Yi Qilyang's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. "Don't go too far." "How are we going too far?" "It's just that." The person was about to say that they were just here to freeload, but then he remembered that this class wasn't for just anyone. Worried that Su Yiyan would find them unreasonable and insatiable, the old professor wisely stopped talking and looked at Su Yiyan pitifully. The others also subconsciously looked at Su Yiyan, their eyes full of anxiety and pleading. Su Yiyan, who had always been amenable to coaxing but not coercion, was speechless. "Ahem, it's not impossible for you to stay, but there are conditions." "Sign the contract?" "We'll sign it. Sign it, sign it, sign it right away. As long as we can stay, we'll do anything." Su Yiyan was speechless. Sign it, what do you mean sign it? If I give you a slave contract, who will you cry to after you sign it? But on second thought, this group of people had already planned to resign and apply for a job in order to freeload. Signing a slave contract or something like that wasn't impossible. Su Yiyin was full of complaints and didn't know who to talk to. In the end, she watched this group of people sign the guarantee, agreeing to let them stay in freeload. After a chaotic episode, Su Yiyin was finally able to officially start teaching. At this time, more than half of the class time had passed. Su Yiyin's eyes turned and she went straight to the point. Hello everyone, I'm the lecturer of Chinese medicine. My surname is Miss Su. You can call me Miss Su. We may meet often in the future. I hope everyone can get along well. Is there a problem with me? As soon as Su Yiyin finished speaking, a boy raised his hand and asked, why is it Miss Su and not Teacher Su? That's because my educational background may not be as high as some of you. If you call me teacher, I'll feel burdened. Also, Su Yiyin paused and winked playfully at everyone. I'm younger than all of you. If you call me teacher, I'll feel old. Everyone present. They felt the blow of age. Back to the topic, let's talk about what traditional Chinese medicine looks like in your eyes. The room fell silent for a moment. In the end, Yi Qiliang asked tentatively, medicine based on Chinese herbs? Su Yiyin glanced around and said with a faint smile, is there any other answer? Don't be nervous. I know that you guys don't know much about this. If you guys are wrong, I won't laugh at you. No one said anything. Su Yiyin didn't say anything right or wrong. He continued to ask, then what are Chinese medicinal herbs in everyone's eyes? I know this. It's plants. I've seen it in the host's live broadcast room. It's fresh or dried plants. Peng Jiaji said excitedly. Then the expression on his face suddenly froze. Only then did he remember that this was not the live broadcast room. Su Yiyin was their teacher now, not the host. Su Yiyin glanced at the young man who spoke and felt that he was somewhat familiar. After thinking for a moment, he remembered that this person seemed to be one of the people who accompanied Yi Qiliang to find him. Chapter 440. It's not wrong for you to understand it that way. Su Yiyin gave some affirmation to his answer. Most of you are pharmaceutical students, so you should know that most of the medicine today is made up of chemical ingredients and biological agents. As for Chinese medicine, as this student said, many of them are plants, but not all of them are plants. Take bezoar for example. It is a stone in the gallbladder, bile duct, or liver duct of cattle or water buffalo, but it has the effect of clearing the heart, dissipating phlegm, promoting gallbladder, and calming shock. It also has a certain effect on children's convulsions, epilepsy, toothache, swollen throat, mouth and tongue sores, carbuncle, and other diseases. When Su Yiyin said this, the audience was in an uproar. The stone in the cow's stomach is also a Chinese medicine? Shouldn't stone be formed by the dirt in the stomach? How can it be eaten? Won't it be poisoned? The audience discussed animatedly, but Su Yiyin seemed to have expected this. She took a deep breath and said, this is the reason why we want to learn this subject now. If I didn't tell you that bezoar is also an important medicine, would you have thought that the stone in the cow's stomach can be used to treat diseases? Everyone was silent for a moment. In ancient times, Xuanhuan tasted hundreds of herbs and left the Xuanhuan's medicine classic. Later, Li Shizhen worked hard to compile the Compendium of Materia Medica, and passed it down to the world. The purpose was to let the world understand the value of these Chinese medicine, so that they can be used to treat diseases and save people. It's a pity that these precious books, along with many precious Chinese medicine, have been lost in the two migrations of mankind. I have a question. As soon as Su Yiyin's voice fell, someone asked, Teacher, no, Miss Su, since most of these things have been lost, how do you know about them? Su Yiyin had expected that someone would ask this question. Even if it was not the students present today, it would be someone else. Because my home happened to be one of the small parts that were preserved. Just like recipes, some were preserved in the rush of migration, but a large part was still lost. For this reason, the Research Institute developed the nutrient solution, which is convenient for the public and can also fill their stomachs. The planet they lived on was different from ancient Earth. The animals and seafood here were bigger than those on ancient Earth. Some vegetables were smaller than those on ancient Earth. That was why natural ingredients, especially vegetables, were so expensive. When humans first set foot on this land, they couldn't be sure if the plants on this planet, or even the seeds they brought with them, would mutate or be poisonous. Coupled with the loss of the recipe, the Research Institute simply came up with a nutrient solution that could extract animal and plant nutrients. However, this thing was just like compressed biscuits. It concentrated and extracted all the nutrients in the food. It could fill the stomach and also satisfy the various nutrients needed for human survival. However, it sacrificed the most important taste of the food. Even though they knew that it was cheap and easy to drink, many people still wanted to eat a delicious meal. You mean you have books related to it at home? What about those seeds? Was it also left behind by your ancestors? As soon as this question was asked, many people pricked up their ears. Obviously, the person who asked the question was not the only one who was curious. Many people were curious, but they were too embarrassed to ask before. Chapter 441. Yes, those Chinese medicine seeds were also left behind by my grandfather's family. It's just that they have been cultivated recently and have seen the light of day again. Why have they only been cultivated recently? Didn't you know that they were Chinese medicine seeds before? This was also the question that many people present were wondering. Su Yiyin smiled and continued to explain, "That's true. I grew up in my grandfather's house. My grandfather's house has a lot of books and I like to read, so I've read most of the books in my grandfather's study. A few years ago, I happened to see a few books related to Chinese medicine in my grandfather's study. Because of this, my family and I speculated that one of our ancestors might have been an expert or doctor in the field of Chinese medicine. Medical books were not like cookbooks. Most people would buy a cookbook and follow it back to improve their daily diet. As for medical books, one couldn't just buy one when one was sick and compare it to treat oneself, right? The best explanation was that one of the ancestors had been involved in this field, so it was more likely that such things would appear in the family and be preserved until now. Yi Qiliang had a deep understanding of this. The book that mentioned Chinese medicine was also found in his family's study. Although it was only a few words, it made him very curious and changed his fate. After reading these books, I developed a new interest in traditional Chinese medicine. I searched through many things left by my ancestors in my family, and among them were the seeds of these herbs. This made me even more certain that my ancestors must have been engaged in a profession related to traditional Chinese medicine. Su Yiyin lied without blushing and no one doubted her. After all, the Great Migration was like wandering without a fixed place to stay. At that time, people would think most about how to save their own lives. At that time, who would want to drag these things along with them, other than those who were really involved in this field? Who else could it be? When I first found these seeds, I didn't directly hand them over to the research institute because I wasn't sure if they could still be grown after such a long time. Later, it was confirmed that they could be grown, and the finished product was indeed as described in the book. My family funded the research institute to start the research and planting of these seeds. I believe that in the near future, these things that have disappeared will be able to be popularized again and play their role. When Su Yiyin said this, the classroom was shocked for a moment, followed by a burst of warm applause. A few seconds later, another person suddenly raised his hand. "I have a question." "Speak." "Just like Professor Yi, I've watched your live stream and I think you're very, very good. But you just said that you came across those books by chance a few years ago, and you only started to grow these things in recent years. Also, you're not that old now. Does this mean that as long as we study seriously, in a few years we can also—" Su Yiyin was a little dizzy from the way the other party addressed her. She almost thought that the person standing in front of her and asking her questions was not a student, but an entertainment reporter. After a while, she smiled again and said with some pride, "If you study seriously, you will definitely gain something, but I can't guarantee that you will be like me. After all, talent is very important. Personally, I think I have inherited some of my ancestors' talent in this aspect." Everyone F***ck, they felt the malice coming from the top student towards the bottom student. Chapter 442. Su Yiyin saw that the room was a little quiet, so he raised his head and glanced at everyone. "Is there anything else you want to ask? If not, we'll continue with the lesson." No one spoke. Su Yiyin continued, "To learn Chinese medicine, besides learning how to distinguish Chinese herbs, you also have to learn how to diagnose diseases. Just like when you go to see a doctor, the doctor has to determine what illness you have before he can prescribe the right medicine. Unlike the doctors nowadays who use instruments to diagnose diseases, Chinese medicine emphasizes on looking, smelling, asking, and feeling the pulse. A good Chinese medicine doctor can tell what's wrong with your body just by looking with his eyes." Just by looking with his eyes? Yi Qiliang could not help but recall the last time he went to the shop to look for Su Yiyin. Su Yian had also identified the symptoms of his two students at a glance. Although the symptoms of these two students were indeed obvious on the surface, he was more curious about, can you tell what's wrong with the body just by looking at the surface? When Su Yian saw that the person who asked this question was Yi Qiuyang, he quickly understood what he meant. He smiled faintly and said, that girl from before had an internal problem, which was why she showed it by burping. However, this is indeed a relatively obvious way of showing it. There are also some that are relatively less obvious. Who is not feeling well now or recently? Are you willing to come up and give me a demonstration? Only those who are not feeling well can do it? It's fine if you don't. Some diseases were not obvious, and it was possible that even people themselves did not notice it. As soon as Su Yian said this, everyone was eager to give it a try, especially the few old people in the front row. They couldn't wait to rush up immediately. Seeing this, Su Yian simply pointed at one of them. This way down, the girl on the left of the fourth row. Yes, you don't have to look around. Are you willing to come up and help me? The girl who was pointed at by Su Yian was stunned for a moment. Immediately, she showed a confused expression as if she was absent-minded in class and was suddenly called by the head teacher. In the end, she staggered to the front under the reminder of her friends. Old. The girl stood in front of Su Yian and stuttered. Don't be nervous, relax. The girl was a little shy. She nodded awkwardly and lowered her head slightly, not knowing what to do. Su Yian held her hand and said in a gentle tone, the so-called look is to look at a person's 5 sense organs. There is a simple formula. The liver governs the eyes, the heart governs the tongue, the spleen governs the mouth, the lungs governs the nose, and the kidneys governs the ears. Simply put, I can tell if your liver is sick from your eyes. The tongue corresponds to the heart, the mouth corresponds to the spleen, the nose to the lungs, and the ears to the kidneys. As Su Yian spoke, she carefully sized up the man's facial features, while the people below recorded down her words. But there is one thing that needs to be noted here. The tongue is different from the tongue coating. The tongue corresponds to the heart, while the tongue coating corresponds to the spleen and stomach. Su Yian said to the girl, open your mouth and stick your tongue out a little. The girl's face was slightly red. She opened her mouth and only stuck her tongue out a little. It seemed that this was her limit in public. Su Yian didn't make things difficult for her. After all, she still needed to take her pulse. The tongue coating is a little white. It means that your spleen and stomach are cold and you need to nourish your stomach. Do you have an irregular diet and like to eat cold things? You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.